To my colleagues on the other side, I look forward to working with you, but we have a different view here. I think you got to be blind as to what's going on here. Have you heard of Justice Breyer? Do you know him? You can't say anything, I guess. Where did he come from? He was Ted Kennedy's Senate Judiciary person.
Chief of Staff.
Where do you think Republicans are going to go find a judge? The whole argument is you can be a conservative Republican president, but you got to nominate a liberal to be fair to the country. That's absurd. Where do you think Ruth Bader Ginsburg came from? She was the general counsel of the ACLU. Wonderful person. What groups do y'all use to pick from? This is shaping up to be the hypocrisy hearing. And that's hard to do in the Senate in today's time, to be hypocritical. But let me just point to a few of these things. Clinton. It didn't bother anybody for Clinton to nominate Breyer while he was under investigation. We actually did it. It didn't bother any of y'all that Ted Kennedy, staff person, was his pick. It didn't bother me either, because that's who I expect you to pick. This is ridiculous. You're one of the best choices any Republican could make. As I said with Justice Gorsuch, I am glad you're here because there were days I'm wondering who he would have picked. And this is a home run from my point of view. Let's talk about Roe v. Wade. Who would ever play politics on the campaign trail with Roe v. Wade? What a bastard Donald Trump is. Until you hear about Hillary Clinton. February the 3rd, 2016. Here's what Hillary Clinton said. When asked, does she have a litmus test for SCOTUS nominations, Supreme Court nominees? I do have a litmus test. I have a bunch of litmus tests because the next president could get as many as 3 appointments, and I hope she's right. We've got to make sure to preserve Roe v. Wade, not let it be nibbled away or repealed. She sounds very open-minded. October 2016. We need a Supreme Court that will stand up on behalf of women's rights. It is important that we not reverse Roe v. Wade. I want a Supreme Court that will stick with Roe v. Wade and a woman's right to choose. I understand where she's coming from. Anybody running for president over there, I dare you to disagree with her. You will wind up like I did, getting 1%. If you even suggest that you will pick a nominee that's not going to uphold Roe v. Wade, that's the end of you. But you figured that out. You don't need me to tell you. So this is the way we do politics. This is a big decision called Roe v. Wade. There are 2 sides and a bunch of nuances. Here's what I know about you. You're going to take it as president. You wrote a big book, which I will never read. And you're going to tell us what it takes to overturn longstanding precedent. Nobody on this side will care if you overturn Citizens United. Matter of fact, they will cheer you on. Somebody will challenge Citizens United, and you'll probably say, let me hear both sides of the story, then I'll tell you whether or not I should uphold it. Hillary Clinton, we know where she's at on Roe v. Wade, and that's just the way it is. Now, what other things? Executive power. This idea that Trump picked you to save him. Amazing concept. Since you said what you said back in 1998 and 2008, the bottom line is when Clinton was being impeached, my good friend, and this is true, he is my good friend, on February the 12th, 1999, introduced into the record during the deliberations of the Clinton impeachment trial an article by Brett Kavanaugh suggesting that you should wait, if there is an indictment, until after the president is out of office. The same concept we're talking about here today, when the shoe was on the other foot. Here's what Joe said about your thinking. The president is not simply another individual. He is unique. He is the embodiment of the federal government and the head of a political party. If he is to be removed, the entire government likely would suffer, and the military or economic consequences to the nation could be severe. These repercussions, if they are to occur, should not result from the judgment of a single prosecutor, whether it be the Attorney General or Special Counsel, and a single jury. jury. Prosecution or non-prosecution of president is, in short, unavoidably a political act. Thus, as the Constitution suggests, the decision about the president while he's in office should be made where all great national political judgments in our country should be made in the Congress of the United States, according to Joe Biden, the gift that keeps on giving for us. I think that's pretty hypocritical. During the Clinton days, you were right, but all of a sudden you're a danger to the republic. Let's talk about, there's so many. How many minutes do I have here? The bottom line is...
Don't exceed what White House.
I will not.
That'd be impossible.
Guns. Somehow you're going to make sure that Congress, the bottom line on guns, Dianne Feinstein's a wonderful lady and has passion on this issue about assault weapons. She was able to succeed politically. After 10 years, the gun assault weapons ban expired, and it's been hard to get it reestablished. She introduced legislation in 2013 that got 60 no votes, 16 Democrats. So I don't believe they see you as a threat to the nation if you come out on the idea that the Second Amendment has some meaning. In other words, the political process when it comes to guns is a work in progress, and I'd rather us decide that than you. When it comes to the pillar of virtue, Comey. Harry Reid, that he's been a supporter of Comey and led the fight to get him confirmed, as he believed Comey was a principled public servant. With the deepest regret, I now see that I was wrong. Mr. Nadler from New York. The president can fire him for cause and ought to. He violated all the guidelines and put his thumb on the scale of an election. Mr. Cohen from Tennessee, a Democrat, called on Comey to resign his position effective immediately. I'm sure upon reflection of this action, he will submit his letter of resignation for the nation's good. To my Democratic friends, you are all for getting rid of this guy. Now all of a sudden the country is turning upside down because Trump did. There's a process to find out what happened in the 2016 election. It's called Mr. Mueller. And I will do everything I can to make sure he finishes his job without political interference. And I'm here to tell anybody in the country who listens that this is so hypocritical of my friends on the other side. When it was their president, Kavanaugh was right. When you're talking about Roe v. Wade, it's okay to promise the nation it will never be overturned. It's okay to pick a Democratic staff member of this committee, but it's not okay to pick somebody who's been a lifelong Republican. People see through this. You had a chance and you lost. If you want to pick judges from your way of thinking, then you better win an election. I voted for two of your choices, Sotomayor and Kagan. Got a lot of crap. I would suggest you think long and hard if you got a political ambition of voting for this guy, because it will not play well on your side. And why did I do it? I thought they were qualified by any reasonable measure given the history of the Senate. But we have turned the history of the Senate upside down. I found that they were different than I would have picked Sotomayor and Kagan, but by any reasonable measure, they were qualified. You've been on the court for 12 years. You've had 307 decisions. You've been approved before. So I hope people in the country understand this game. It's a game that I am sad to be part of.